Hi, well this week I'd like to thank Sue for sending in a question, and Sue's asked for advice on how to order wine in a restaurant, which is just quite an intimidating thing and actually something that definitely is worth having a little bit of an understanding about how to select wine. So the first thing to think about with a restaurant is obviously the markups are very high because they make the money on the wine, not the food. So the wine markups can be sort of 70–80%. So your retail bottle of wine at £8 will be kind of £24 on a restaurant list at least. So that's to bear in mind. But the first thing to think about is the default thing is to order your house wine, but that's probably not your best option because the house wine is usually the wine that the restaurant will make the biggest markup. The objective of the restaurant is to make as much money as they can on the wine, and therefore if you go for the house wine, they've selected it because it's a low cost and they can get a good return on it. So depending on the restaurant you're in, if there isn't a wine advisor there or a sommelier, then going for sort of the wine that's kind of the second or third on the list is not a bad option because they know that everyone buys on the house wine. So to go a few pounds up, you may well get a much better value wine. The other thing to look out for is to avoid the really well-known brands and grape varieties, the Pinot Grigios, etc. Because again, the restaurant's thinking, everyone's going to order those wines, we'll make our markups on there. Where a restaurant's often taken a risk is with the lesser known grape varieties, and the supplier might have got the wine in there on a trial basis, and the restaurant will get a very good price on an unusual grape variety, so you'll get a lot better quality wine for your money. So again, if there isn't anyone to advise you in the restaurant on it, go for a lesser well-known variety. Now most restaurants will now give you a description of the wine and say what type of style it is. So if you like wines like from Sauvignon Blanc, New Zealand, they'll hopefully categorise the wines by whether they're aromatic, full-bodied, rich, creamy, etc. So you'll be able to choose the wines within your preference, even if you haven't heard of the grape variety. But obviously, if you're in a slightly more expensive restaurant, I really would recommend asking the sommelier or the wine advisor the best wine to go with your food. That's what they're there to do, and they'll be delighted to be asked that. They'll feel really pleased that you've asked them the question, and they'll do their absolute best to help you. And you might find they'll even pour you glasses of wine that you haven't ordered just to taste. So if you're enthusiastic with the wine waiter there, you can really learn an awful lot. And the final point with restaurants is to not be intimidated. You're the customer, and asking you to be a professional wine taster is very unfair. I mean, most people really don't know whether a wine's corked or not. They just think it's faulty. They just think it doesn't taste very nice. And there's that old Michael McIntyre sketch where you're waiting, everyone's looking at you, smelling the wine and deciding whether it's good or not. You're not even thinking about the wine. You're thinking about you're the focus of attention and just saying yes, it's fine. They'd never bring you the milk and say, could you smell this and tell me if it's off? So I'm hoping that this trend will go where actually the wine waiter should taste it. So I would honestly say don't be afraid to ask the waiter to taste it first to check if it's corked or not. Because the purpose for you to try the wine isn't actually whether you like it or not, it's actually whether the wine is corked or not. So really that should be down to the wine waiter. So they're my main tips for being in a restaurant. I think is basically remember you're the customer and experiment a bit with the lesser known varieties, and if there's someone there who can advise you, I'd definitely recommend it asking because you'll get a much better experience. Hope that helps.